visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited. Quality you can trust.
Mitsu Air Limited, authorized Mitsubishi air conditioning dealer. No need to replace your air conditioning units ever so often. Split units, cassette, ductable, CTVIF systems, and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
I'm Brian. I've been welding for more than 25 years. It's a rough job, so I need tools that last long and work efficiently. The most important tool that I use every day is a welding machine. A good one, in my experience, must last at least, let's say, 4 to 5 years without breaking down or losing efficiency. I've been using a Ronix welding machine for about 4 years now, and it's been a really good companion.
Ronix Premium Quality.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening and welcome to Breaking Barriers here on IBN Channel 8. Of course, I'm Inshan Ishmael, your host, celebrating 19 years. In fact, this October, we're going to have 19 years of this station being live. I remember the first time we started this station and the first time we went on air, there was actually an earthquake and the concrete cracked while we were on air. And we were there patching wires because we didn't have no engineers and then, it was a few of us who decided to put this thing together. And I also remember someone telling me that, you guys will be lucky if you last 6 months. Well, it's 19 years, so you're foo-foo and walk, right? So just so you know that. Of course, tonight's program is going to be packed. We're dealing with education and educational issues. Let me just say a special good evening and good night to one of the best educators that this country has ever seen. In fact, I may be a bit biased, but it is my brother, Ibrahim Ishmael, former principal of Shogona Senior Comp. He was the live wire for education. I remember this man, they used to call him the Flash. He used to wear on a gray jacket, a white jacket and a gray pants. He used to wear on the same color uniform as the students. And all of a sudden, the students talking and smoking a little weed. And boom, the principal stand up right there. So, I mean, kudos to my brother Ibrahim Ishmael. You are one of the persons that I have designed my life around. And I thank you so much for being a mentor. And, really and truly, you don't realize these things until you get older, until the gray hair started coming, you start to get wrinkles and things. But I thank God for things like oil of ole, which reduces the wrinkles plenty. All right, so let's get started with some of the issues tonight. London, happy 7th birthday. I believe that Nazim, my brother, have about 12 grandchildren, and I don't know. Because almost every 2-3 weeks, it's happy birthday. So, and let me tell you see this young man? Very intelligent, brilliant young man, and he's going to go far, right? So all the best to you, London, and I promise you, I just wish all these children, and I such a dread uncle, I don't buy nothing for them. So I gotta start changing that. That's real bad, that's real bad. I mean, I feeling shame. I feeling shame for even Zakir too, who should be doing something, but say what. Right, so let's go on again, guys. Let's move on. You see that sexy fella there, that fella that looking like the number one? Right? Zoom in, fellas. All I take it that man, you see that man pet here? Check that fella now, man. Why it is these three fellas looking like, the golden circle? Right? Richard Jagisa, my attorney at law, on the right-hand side. We won another matter again in court, and this matter involved this thing. Now, I'm going to show you the video, and you will see what took place. Guys, you can get Richard on the line in the meantime, please. So let me show you this video. Take a look. Right, that's the video with the Baraka grounds and the police and how my company services police vehicle 1 week before. They had no shame, but they couldn't use another vehicle. So this is the Baraka grounds, and many of you would have remembered this when the government and police worked together to try and set me up on a false. And what amount of police now? For number 6, number 7, and number 8 gang, and looks Mr. Supatulum go and try and climb up, and he can't climb up. Stop right there. This is the fellow we're focusing on, Anzar. Notice where Anzar is. Take a look at where he is, how far he is from everything. Let's go again. Right, so Anzar is recording, and take a look at this. Watch what goes on here now. Senior comes up to him, tell him that he's obstructing, arrests him and charge him. Good. So we have Mr. Jagis on the line. Mr. Jagis, attorney at law, how are you, sir?
Hello, good night, Mr. Ishmael. I'm great. How are you? How are you?
Watching our police trying to jump over, but he looking like Super Tulum just now. He couldn't make.
Oh, God. You need to go some gym. Go back to the barrack.
Mr. Jagisa, tell us what transpired in court with this matter and how did this matter come about?
All right. So the claimants in that matter, Isa Ghani and Anzar Mohammed, were arrested for obstructing police in the course of their lawful duty when the police arrested you in October
of
2017. And you, of course, were arrested, detained, and questioned relative to an allegation raised by a Rafiq Mohammed. You won that matter where the allegation was laid by Mr. Mohammed, and then you also sued the state for malicious prosecution and false imprisonment, and you won the case at the High Court, and you were awarded 120,000 in general damages and some other sum in aggravated and exemplary damage.
No, let me say the figure now is over 300,000. This kind of thing you want to cut me down and give me a discount is that Kopalanis we talking about. The more you say, the more benefits, you know what I mean? So go ahead.
Right. I understand. So a magistrate court, a criminal court, deemed the allegation by Mr. Rafiq Mohammed as null and void and inconsequential, and you won that matter. And a high court, a civil court, also deemed the charge against you as unlawful. Therefore, the police was not conducting any lawful exercise on the date in question. Therefore, Anzar Mohammed and Isa Ghani could not possibly interrupt the police, obstruct the police in the course of their lawful duty because they were not conducting any lawful act. That's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make was on the scene. So on the day, you had a meeting with the other tenants of the other food stalls at Baraka Ground. Isa Ghani and Anzar Mohammed were two of the tenants. And the police came, they arrested you very quickly. It took how long? A minute and a half, if so much.
Correct.
And they arrested you. Inspector, or what is it? Is it senior superintendent now?
Yeah, I think we picture him ASP Smith, right? I think we're supposed to have a picture somewhere wrong with ASP Smith. Yes.
Right. He was in charge of the exercise. Actually, according to his witness statement, the matter is now concluded. I can talk about it openly. According to his witness statement, he was actually in charge of an exercise in the Diwali Nagar and came over to the Baraka grounds to see if you were there. Imagine that. So he was assigned extra duty in the Diwali Nagar and came over just to see if you were there. So he came over with two van load marked police vehicles. You and him had a conversation. He told you about the allegation by Rafiq Mohammed. You said, all right, let's go down to the station. You got in the vehicle. Isa Ghani and Ansar Mohammed began to record the incident on their phone. And there's even a video clip, a TV6 video clip of Isa Ghani standing meters away from the police, for the two van load of police surrounding you, taking you into one of the police jeeps. And he is standing outside of that recording. We have that on camera. And after that, you are in the vehicle, and the vehicle starts to proceed outward, westernly, and Smith, ASP Smith, is leading the procession. The vehicle is in front. He's walking behind. The two other officers are walking behind him. And then Issa and Anzar are following that procession, recording on their phones. And somehow, Inspector Smith saw it fit to lay the charge of obstruction. After you were in the vehicle, after the vehicle was en route to the police station, saw it fit to lay this charge of obstruction against these two gentlemen. And it took us 5 years at the magistrate's court, and then it took us 2 years at the high court. But yesterday, we got the decision, we got the full trial and decision in the matter, and of course it was successful in the favor of the claimant. And I want to just mention some of the findings that the judge made. The judge firstly said that it is impractical, it is impossible, implausible for somebody who is recording an event to record the event 8 to 12 inches away from one of the persons on the scene. If that were to be true, then the person would only get the officer he's recording face or chest or clothes. He would not get the incident. It is ridiculous to come to court and give that kind of evidence. Somebody said it recently on my travels, and I'll repeat it here. Dotishness. Dotishness in chance. That's the first point one of the first points that the judge made, right? So it becomes more plausible now that the truth is the men were recording from a distance as opposed to somehow obstructing anything. The second point he made was that the officer in question was a khaki-wearing officer, and in our landscape, we understand that to mean he has a certain degree of seniority, a certain degree of rank, a high rank in the police service. Let
me just show people what the khaki uniforms look like and the officer involved. So could we show a picture of Smith, please, and his khaki? Right, that's the khaki man there. Right, AKA Stink Mouth. Right? Because that is the man that cussed me about my mother, and Anzar was in the car when this ASP cussed me about my mother and made my daughter cry. That man there, right? That man. And I want the public to keep that face locked into their minds. Because what is happening, I don't forget. I don't ever forget. Go ahead, Richard.
Right. And the judge made a finding of fact, as have to do with their key witnesses in the box and make determinations about how truthful they are. This judge found both claimants to be highly truthful and uninterested in being aggressive or disrespectful to the khaki-wearing officer, an officer of high rank. The judge found out of these claimants to be law-abiding citizens. And it is that very khaki officer who is referred to in your matter that I mentioned earlier, and I'll touch on that in a minute. This high-ranking public official whose action in October of 2017 has now cost the state over $600,000. So in turn, so what has happened? What has happened in this matter? And let me just touch now on the veracity of this khaki wearing officer. In the judgment given in your matter in 2022, the judge said that the factual matrix in that case registered with the court a sense of worry and alarm as it highlighted seemingly disturbing and unacceptable behavior by members of the police service. The behavior which was highlighted signals that immediate and drastic changes are required.
Well, I sent that judgment. I sent my judgment. I sent this video. I sent this recent one again, and I sent it to Minister of Coal Pot, right? Because Minister of Coal Pot was the minister who actually fought the case in that matter with me. So he saw firsthand, Keith Scotland saw firsthand and witnessed firsthand what Judge Justice C. Prasad said. Yes, that is Minister Coal Pot next to my boy, right? So the fact is that when you see that this man actually has all the evidence, including a PCA document, which you have been privy to, which is very damning, I want to know, well, what is there protecting this man from the law taking its full course?
Yes, indeed so. Let me go back to the judgment.
Yes. My apologies for disturbing you, my honor.
No, not at all. This arrest was even more alarming. In chance, the judge is saying more alarming, given that it was apparently executed by a senior officer in khaki. And I want to pause there to raise a serious concern when it comes to senior, high-ranking officers who ought to know better and who ought to lead by example, cannot find themselves in these situations where judges have to call for the sanitization of the police service and condemn actions of officers in this regard. This is serious in our country. These are the same officers that we expect to protect and serve. These are the same officers that we expect to guard our schools and our children and patrol our streets. And this is who we put our future of our countries, we put our future in their hands. And yet we have these officers holding high rank, making these kinds of foolish decisions in these high intensity situations, and that cannot be accepted. Now I know that there are others. I've listened to other interviews. I think this morning I heard another officer in another interview make mention of another charge ought to have been laid on the gentleman, and that charge would have been successful. And let me just say, that officer of a lower rank than khaki needs to understand his place and understand that the khaki wearing officer, who is senior to him, chose to lay the charges that he laid. And if he chose to lay those charges and those charges failed, don't come now to say he could have done this and he should have done this. No, he chose that. But officers what to do.
It's typical. What happened is that it's similar to the mafia in license office and everything else. What happened is that they seek to protect. They seek to protect one another. And the thing is that it's clear. Recording and since donkey years now, this has been proven in court and otherwise, that you are permitted to record once you do not obstruct the officer, while he's conducting his duties, etc. Nothing is wrong with recording. In fact, I remember Gary had actually told the public, when you see activities, record it and send it in.
Correct. And his lordship in this matter made a point of that and said, isn't it true that the commissioner of police is asking for body cameras? How can you on one hand ask for body cameras for your officers and then condemn citizens or chastise them or lay charges on them for recording? No, it has to be that we are all interested in the protection and service of country And if that is the case, then put the body cameras on officers to protect not only citizens, but the officers as well, and let citizens record. The judge made what I deem to be common law precedent in that, in his decision, he said, citizens are allowed to record in public places. Citizens are allowed to record police officers. And I think that should be codified in legislation. And I invite the legislative branch to take this opportunity now and allow citizens. You are correct, Inshan, in that you can record anything from a safe distance. You can record anything so long as it's not obstructing the police. And I say now that should be codified in legislation so that officers do not need reminding and constant reminders from the judiciary or lawyers.
Yeah, but Mr. Jagisa, in this case, if the police were using body cams, all of a sudden the footage would have been destroyed, or they could not have found the footage because the footage would have implicated them. Correct?
That goes to the judge's point in your earlier matter, 2022 matter, which is there needs to be sanitization of the police service. Those who are corrupt needs to be expelled, needs to be put on. Anytime an officer repeatedly costs the state money in exemplary damages, as you know, exemplary damages is a form of punishment against the state. Yeah. Anytime officers cost the state money for exemplary damages, those officers need to instantly be put on suspension and under investigation. No, instantly. And let me just make the point that I endorse the cry for exemplary damages to be paid by the officer and no longer the taxpayer. Let it be the officer who gets paid by the taxpayer to make these foolish mistakes in the streets. Let it be the officer to pay the exemplary damages out of his pocket.
Yeah, but Richard, you know that officer has gone and visit the outside woman, crash police vehicle, and the state has paid for that. At the end of the day, how many times have you heard an officer crashing a police vehicle, causing destruction to government property, and being culpable or liable in regards to paying? There's nothing in place. There's no system. In fact, and again, I want to use Commissioner Griffith. What he had done, he had put a system in place where before you use a police vehicle, you must inspect it. So in other words, when an officer come and drop back a vehicle and he went and bounced the bumper, there's accountability. There's zero accountability right now. There are companies with men smoking weed while repairing police vehicles. Imagine that. A garage, man sit down smoking weed and he playing with the police CB radio, right? And this is where police vehicles are being repaired. You don't know where some of these vehicles are going in the night? Ask Erla if she knows where those vehicles are in the night. When you go to some of these garages, vehicles are on top of vehicles with no insurance. If a fire takes place, what is going to happen? But you see, again, because of racism and division, my company shut down, my staff get thrown out because of the racism, the division, and the hatred, which we will all, bring up all these matters in court because you have about 75 cases to me again.
Two public cabinet is yours alone, and we have not lost one. I want to make that clear.
Not one
win
matter.
After win. When they see Inshan Ishmael as claimant and Richard Jaggers as lawyer, on the Sunday they had to go and pray, and the senior counsel had to jump out,
No, but Mr. Jagasa, up to today, I was telling someone, as a young man, when I was watching you as a younger man, everything around you, people were busy eating food and you were sitting down there. And I remember you with a short pants and your two leg was so fat, it was like your arm, and your two kneecap was just looking outside our pants. And you were so focused on those books. And I say, but what wrong with this child? Because I real dotish, I never like books. So I tell myself, I say, but boy, what happened to this young man, boy? And in all seriousness, I just want to tell you, boy, that I am so proud of you and what you have become. And I just want you to remain focused because people will try to set you up. They will try to tie you down in all kind of dotishness. You just get a nice girl, right? Me and your mother are working on that right now. Right? The last girl she get, the girl smiled, she had two teeth, and when she smiled, she looked like a plug. So we're leaving that right there. All right,
yes.
But I have to take a break now, but I want to thank you so much, Mr. Jagisa. And of course, we have the matter with the NCC we are dealing with tomorrow, of course.
Yes. And John, all I want to say,
Sure.
in closing, all I want to say is
Sure.
I'm glad you pointed out the vision and potential bias, because I want to say in closing, should anything ever happen to you now, from this point going forward, any charges are slapped on you, fabricated or generated out of the blue, I want this country to understand it is indeed a fabrication of a charge, and it is indeed nonsense generated by persons who may be now in high rank in certain places. And I leave that there. I hope it does not happen, but if it should happen, let the country know it is trumped up and it is a fabrication.
Thank you so much, my brother, and all the best. And we will bounce up this weekend, my brother. All the best, Richard. Take care.
No problem. I will pass by Graveyard.
All right, excellent. So,
all right, take care.
As you can see, one is that I have a host of other matters, but I'm going to leave that just as this is. But one thing I want to just show you is that there's an elderly lady that was murdered. And when I saw the photo of that woman, it pained me, and I just want to show this woman's face. Right? Take a look at this woman. Smothered to death, and they said there were bloodstains as well, so they don't know if she was raped. She had surgery and she had an appointment. Watch this woman's face, right? Watch, I mean, fellas, let me tell you something. That could be murder, boy. Watch this woman, man. What could this woman do in the last stages of her life? What did she do to deserve this? As a population, we really need to come together. Guys, come back to me. One thing I'd like to say before I take a break and come back and introduce my guest. My daughter insisted. She said to me, Dad, I want to go to school today. I have to go to school today because I don't want to miss school because, you know, it coming down to that stage, exams, I think. And I said to her, say, listen, the school is in a condition and I don't want any health issues with you going to school. This is St. George's College we're talking about. My daughter went to school today and came home sick. She said there were 10 students and teachers are refusing to come out tomorrow. There are some teachers. So I'm telling parents from St. George's College, if you want your children to get sick, if you want them to get leptospirosis, if you want them to get dengue, right? Yeah, we'll come back with that when we are interviewing my guests, right? If you want them to get dengue, because here what's happening, St. George's College right now is a cesspit and not fit for even people like me and Gatsby Dolly to go there, right? So at the end of the day, do not send your children out to that school. Parents, teachers will be staying home. There are some teachers who will be staying home tomorrow. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue right here on Breaking Barriers. We'll be back.
I'm Brian. I've been welding for more than 25 years. It's a rough job, so I need tools that last long and work efficiently. The most important tool that I use every day is a welding machine. A good one, in my experience, must last at least, let's say, 4 to 5 years without breaking down or losing efficiency. I've been using a Ronix welding machine for about 4 years now, and it's been a really good companion.
Ronix Premium Quality. Ronix Heavy Duty 89 Series. High efficiency, brushless 20-volt motor. All-in-one professional angle grinder kit. Ronix brushless angle grinder.
This year, protect your home with a beautiful standing seam roof that is built to last. Standing seam roofs are proven to last longer, eliminate potential leak points and rusting that screws cause. Build to Last is offering 5% off your purchase, plus save up to $2,000 with free roll forming of your roofing sheets and guttering. Roofing that's built to last. Build to Last Hardware and Roofing Manufacturing Limited, Southern Main Road, Freeport. Call or WhatsApp 355-7703.
Mitsu Air Limited, authorized Mitsubishi air conditioning dealer. No need to replace your air conditioning units ever so often. Split units, cassette, ductable, CTVIF systems and much more. Mitsubishi Electric has long been powering industries and providing solutions for healthy living. Mitsu Air Limited boasts the industry's first 10-year warranty on all parts and labor. Inverter units are also available. Don't hear it, just feel it. Mitsu Air Limited, 246 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. Give us a call at 674-4000 or 675-4000 or email us at mitsu.limited@gmail.com.
Assalamu alaikum again and welcome. Of course, I'd like to thank my good friend Richard Jagger, of course. And again, I have so many things to discuss, but tonight we are focusing a lot on an issue that is very important, and that is the issue of education. And, the other day I was watching an interview and I said to myself, I say, everything that this young woman said is on par. And she was so very firm and decisive in her statements. And I said, I had to find a way. And even though she's busy with maybe, 5-6 children, I don't know. I'll find out tonight, right? What happens is that I have, Shadow Minister of Education, Anita Haynes. Anita, it's a pleasure being in your company tonight. And thank you for, of course, taking up the invitation to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Happy for the opportunity to discuss the education issues facing the country. Good night to your audience, to the viewers. I know it's a group of people who have the country at heart, so I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Let us start now. The normal bogey. 2 months holidays, inactivity, all of a sudden, 2 days before school open, everything is falling apart.
Yeah.
Why is this a common issue? And it's not to say we have seen this issue develop only 1 or 2 years. This has been a problem ad nauseum over decades, whereby no work is done, and then all of a sudden, everything is put into panic. The minister comes on air and said all schools are ready. When you watch the news in the night, you realize that it's a blatant lie.
Yes.
When is this going to change? Or what is the issue, the underlying issue?
Well, this particular Minister of Education, outside of the July, August holidays that others had, she also had 2 years of a stay-at-home order. When the construction ban was lifted, students were still at home. If they wanted to fix these infrastructural concerns, they didn't have, you could give some leeway, 2 months here and there, right? I mean, with proper management, it can be done, absolutely. But she has a unique distinction where she had a stay-at-home order. Children and teachers were at home. Online learning was taking place. The construction sector had been reopened while schools were still closed. They could have gotten the work done. And so I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is not a resource problem. It is not a money problem. You could give them $5 billion. They could give them $10 billion. If you can't do the job, no amount of money will be enough. Because since 2020 to now, and in my time in the Senate, I would have spoken to teachers, spoken to the PTA. They are listing their work. Works are listed as urgent or top priority. Other works would be listed for medium term, long term, it can get done. And they are taking this information, and I don't know if they're throwing it away, if they're ignoring it, but they are not utilizing the information to give a list of priority work. And so every year, without fail, we get some excuse. In the fiscal 2022 and 2023, $165 million was allocated to infrastructural work. By the next budget, they had not spent the majority of that money. So no work was done. And they keep kicking the problems down. So what could be a $1,000 problem this year will become $1 million problem, and then they'll say they don't have enough money to fix it. And that's the kind of incompetence we're facing in the education sector right now.
All right, let us look at this now in terms of the scale of how the impact. and how this is affecting the students. Because number one, education plays a key role in the development of every child.
Yeah.
Whether it is you are from ECCE to primary school to secondary, it develops that person into a doctor, a lawyer, a panman, a woodworker.
Correct.
When you have now taken this education system and designed it in such a way, maybe it is intentionally or not, whereby there is frustration, not only on the part of the students, Anita, teachers. And I'll give you an example. As I said before at the beginning of my program, my brother used to wear the same color uniform. What he used to do as well, he used to keep the number of the theaters in Chaguanas. And the theaters would call him, you have 2 students here. If students are missing, and he has the principal, Mrs. Khan, I noticed that your son is not out to school today. Is everything okay? Or you don't have money to pay him? Okay, here what? We'll arrange through the school to give you a little... And that is how he operated as a principal. But what I have found these days, and it is not common with all, but there's a large amount of our educators, unfortunately, principals, teachers, who are in it for the money. So whether it is they stay home for 2 months and get a so-called holiday, when school doesn't come out again, they get an extended holiday. And the children suffer. So I think something has to be done, whereby, again, we need to break that whole stem where that problem is, where the students, they are not in an environment conducive to learning. The teachers, on the other hand, you're going to a school where everything is falling apart. So every single thing is falling apart. Where do we start? Where do we start to bring about change?
Yeah. For me, I've always said, if this government starts fixing the simple problems, we can work our way up to the more complicated problems. We are facing and have been facing declining results, academic results at the SCA level and at the CSEC level. In the midst of all of that, we have these infrastructural concerns, buildings literally falling down on students and teachers. And as human beings, there must be some respect for human dignity. You can't ask people that you are charting a path for success and you're putting them in a building that is falling apart. Last year in September, just before Parliament, so we would have a sitting of Parliament on the 9th of September, so just before Parliament had reopened, I got a call from parents at the Gasparillo Secondary School. They said, you have to see this. It is falling apart. We had to get a private citizen to use a drone so that we could get aerial footage because they weren't letting us in. So I went down to the protest with the parents, members of the PTA. And then I left the protest and I went straight to Parliament and I filed an urgent question about the work at the Gasparillo Secondary School. The Minister of Education, across from me, told me to my face that the work was completed. I left the school an hour and 15 minutes ago. So with my own 2 eyes, no work completed. Parents, we saw the drone footage, pictures from the students. And they are telling us that the work was done. And so this is what we're facing across the board. People are asked to go to school, you mentioned the situation at St. George's. The minister herself posted footage saying St. George's was fit for purpose yesterday. So are you telling us that everybody else is lying on you?
No, but fit for what purpose? Fit for animals. Fit for pigs to go in and for them to roll in mud. And again, when a child becomes sick, and this parent has to take this child to a private facility, and the parent cannot afford to even buy books.
Yeah.
The stress becomes so much on the parent.
Yeah.
And you have this whole environment of learning where I feel as if we are almost trying to dumb down the children that we have. It's almost as if we want to create a group of children who no longer think, but who are accustomed going and you're just liming in school and here whatever you become, and it doesn't matter. And something has to give, because George's, I don't know if you know the history of George's. My family, in fact, I had my uncle was one of the principals of George's. And George's was the premier government school in Trinidad and Tobago. you would put George's as first choice or second choice. And you were so excited about your child passing for George's that you would get dressed up too to take your child to school.
Yeah.
But now, parents running away. Now you have teachers who want to get a transfer, and you can't blame them. And I'll give you an example, Anita. My daughter in Form 3, when she was in Form 3 in George's, she said, Dad, our class in a real mess.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the principal, and she gave me permission. She said, when you could do it. I said, give us 1 weekend. Anita, in 1 weekend, we scrubbed that entire classroom, fixed the electrical, did over the whole ceiling, painted the whole place, rehabilitated, refurbished an entire room for less than $5,000, including LED lighting.
Yeah.
And you telling me that all you spent $10 million
And couldn't get it.
and
Correct.
I'm still looking to see where $1 million gone.
Yeah. No, and that is a problem across the border. When I heard the comments of the minister on I-95 saying $5 billion is not enough, right? And that a lot of it is in recurrent expenditure. And that is, it's true, a lot of it is in recurrent expenditure. But what you are telling us as a population, as Trinidadians and Tobagonians, is that you spent at the very least $100 million on infrastructural work, and not one of us could see it. No, not one school could come forward and say, if you take a look at us, we are a shining example of a properly refurbished school. Not one school. So you telling me $100 million in Trinidad and Tobago giving you patchwork here, there, and everywhere. That is what they want us to believe. And so overall, we are hearing billions of dollars being spent. And as citizens, not because of out of any bad mind or spite, or we don't want to give the government any credit, but you literally cannot see it. They're in Palmyra, the rat infestation.
Yes.
Schools in my constituency.
And that school is still closed, huh?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and again, that is not even major infrastructural works. That is hygiene, making sure the premises is clean. So that if you can practice proper hygiene, we're going to give you engineering for the roof to rehabilitate buildings. So when I say they can't fix simple problems, so that when we get to the more complicated problems of the curriculum, of whether or not we're educating our children for jobs of the future, whether or not the education you're fighting already so hard to get makes you employable. Those are the complicated issues of the education sector. They cannot even get to that because things like a door or a bench stopping them. It is stumping this government how to fix broken tables and chairs.
Why it is we cannot use prisoners to repair school furniture? Why it is we cannot use prisoners? Because you know and I know that in first world countries all over the world, a prisoner does not just sit in prison. They build number plates, they do agriculture, they do things to benefit society. You just don't go there and we feed you. Yeah. Why it is that we cannot put something in place where we have, because MDC and all these other companies become billionaires because of the furniture that we buy. Yes. And the constant repairs and all that. And sometimes I would see in schools, and I've seen it before, where you see a desk thrown aside because of one weld broke off.
Yes.
Right? So when you look at the quality of some of the furniture we are purchasing too, because you see, when you put these things in an environment, remember these children, they're not putting their school bag alone on it, eh? They're sitting on it, they're jumping on it, and you know some of these children, they're doing other things on it too. So at the end of the day, when you have all this taking place, there has to be a holistic approach. Not besides the air condition and all those things, because when you are in a comfortable environment, learning becomes easier.
Correct.
It absorbs easier. You have less distractions. You can imagine being in a classroom and the light blinking, and when you come out there, your eye like an indicator, your eye blinking too.
Yeah. You know, some of them are writing on half of our whiteboard, if you see.
Yes.
Scrambling to fit. And to me, if I'm a student or a teacher or educator, and I go into a building and after 2 months, everything is falling apart, that says to me that nobody cares about me. Nobody who is in charge of upkeep cares about any of us. And so you're going into there with that mindset and you're asking them to be successful in spite of all of these things. And, you know, when you pay attention, right now, when we get the SCA results, the statistics, there is a metric for persons scoring below 30%. How many of the students scored below 30%? 50% is still the pass mark, eh? 50% is the pass mark.
Right.
And we are measuring, because there's a significant enough a number to measure how many scored below 30%.
And what are we doing? What are we doing for those students?
And you're funneling them through the pipeline.
Technical subjects are failing.
No, but if this is SCA, so that what I've found in speaking with, again, educators, that some of the students depending on the catchment area who score below 30% are being sent into particular schools, right? And those schools, you are seeing a correlation with the levels of school violence. So that if you are the Ministry of Education, you're the administrators, and you know that you are sending a greater number of students who scored below 30% in the exam to this particular secondary school, then you, in order to give that secondary school the best chance for success, you will equip them with more. You will give them more school support officers, guidance counselors. You will allow them to have homework centers, because you know the students who are going in there have not reached the level of competency to successfully start a secondary school education. Instead, what's happening is you're sending them there, you're giving them the same amount of resources, and your fingers crossed, hope you succeed. That is what is happening. And then when you hear repeated instances of school violence, they'll come on TV and say suspension, expulsion, but not saying that you've not done, as the state, you've not given these students the best possible chance for success. You've not, because when they get into secondary school, if you couldn't score 30% at SE and you start with new subjects, right? What the new secondary school curriculum, you are out of your depth. You can't function. The teacher has a bigger class, more students who are in need of extra help. You are putting an extra burden on those teachers, and then you have no additional enabling support. What chances are you giving these children?
But you see, a lot of the issues that we have right now, for example, I got a call today, right? Today is the third day since school officially opened, more or less. This parent called me, she has 6 children, and she have no books for the children, she have no bags. I say, so what were you doing for the last 2 months? What were you as a parent doing for the last 2 months? And a lot of it, the blame would fall squarely on parents too. And I've always told women this, that many of you wise choices will end up benefiting you later on, because the fact is that these children suffer. These children go through hardships, because when they go in school and they don't have a proper shoe, they are mocked. When they don't have the proper books, sometimes teachers talk to them, insult them in front of the class. And you create this environment where they automatically push back education and say, well, that ain't for me. So, you know, this thing is, there are so many arms to this thing.
And but those students you're talking about are the ones who still get a chance to go to school. Since the pandemic, I have been raising this issue ad nauseum. During the pandemic, raised in a joint select committee meeting, we were told some 46,000 students never accessed online learning. So they didn't log on not one time. That's not the people who logged on once or twice and stopped logging,
Right.
Some of them came back into the school system. Via an FOIA, we found out that there were some 1,800 students thereabouts who dropped out of the school system. Completely gone from the school system. That is not including the persons who have constructively dropped out, as in they come in on the first day of school, they come in once in the middle, maybe.
Right.
There are persons who have taken their children out of school. I grew up with my grandparents telling me that the oldest children or whoever could go out and get a job would work to allow the smartest ones the chance to go to school so that they'll get the money to go to school. And we are seeing in 2024 now that Trinidad is returning to that type of thing, that if a family is not, does not have the economic circumstance to send every child to school, they'll pick one and send that one child to school and keep the others home or send them out to work. And the Ministry of Social Development will not work with the Ministry of Education to look at, is there a correlation between persons who are applying for grants and persons with school-age children who the children are not attending school? I mean, for government agencies to always be waiting to respond to an issue rather than to proactively use data to reach out to people before you get to the problem. To me, it is inexcusable, and we are in a very serious predicament in Trinidad and Tobago. You know. We are at a point where, at the latest, we had 46% of the students passing math at the CSEC level. So the majority of the students did not pass math at the CSEC level.
And that is serious.
And that is 46% of the persons who did the exam. It does not tell us how many persons were eligible to do the exam, were started in Form 1 and didn't make it to Form 5. Persons who did not sit the exam altogether. And so when you are thinking about what the future of Trinidad and Tobago looks like, you have to think about the fact that you are seeing more and more persons drop out, either actually drop out or constructively drop out of the school system. Persons at the university level telling you that we do all of this and then we can't get jobs, and that you are creating a society that is untenable.
When you look at our needs food, shelter, water, education. Those are not wants, those are needs. And education is listed amongst that. And guys, could we get a picture with the Pantrinbago building, right? This Pantrinbago building that we are about to see on the screen here now, that is a want. This is not a need. Now, at the end of the day, there's academics, and then there's everything else. This would come after academics. To those who want to play pan, God bless you. There's nothing wrong with that. But to build a $120 million building, and let this be priority right now, to change the Trinidad and Tobago coat of arms, which is going to cost us millions of dollars, is not a priority right now. The priority is to start fixing our schools and getting it done. And you know, come back to me, guys. One of the things is that, you know, in Trinidad, we have always had a history of public, you know, with public partnerships with the government. If you ask anyone in any area, for example, you as a principal, like in Bamboo, if the principal asks for us to pay in the school, we will get involved. But you see, when you see that Insha and Ishmael take some pictures of a road where they build a bridge, and when you show the bridge, the minister comes and say that the process that they have is one of integrity and world-class testing, and there's nothing wrong. But you see a car go down there and the car like it get lost. You tell yourself if you're living in Mars, because I am seeing something wrong. I know I am not an engineer, but I know something is wrong because our road is not supposed to fall apart. And it's similar to Akbar Trace. In Akbar Trace, and that is one of the biggest con jobs ever in the history in this country, in Charleville. When I was passing on that road, I told you guys, I say, you all are rehabilitating this whole road. Millions of dollars, tens of millions. I said, the road is going to shift again because you all have not supported it with a wall, a drain, nothing. He said that is the scope of works they got from the ministry. And they said that they have to comply with the scope of works. Anita, within 2 months' time, the entire road started to cave in. 30 million gone, not a dollar come out of Rohan pocket. But that is integrity. Maybe Rohan integrity. But I'm finding that all the ministers under this administration, their level of integrity does not match what you call world standard integrity. What you would find in Singapore, what you would find in Barbados. The other day when I saw in Guyana, the bishop, Minister of Works, he went and he told a contractor, I want you to take your vehicle and go down there. And the contractor said, well, I can't go. He said, well, how do you expect the residents to go? Correct. Pack up your equipment, you're no longer on the job. In Trinidad, we see all of a sudden the contractors who doing corruption left, right, and center, their names are never mentioned by the minister. But one contractor who decided here what happening, I ain't gonna take no crap from this man again, you know. He used inferior material. And it is always an excuse. And to me, and I should add this, that I know many of you looking on right now and you would want to call in. So let's put the lines on the, let's put the lines up one time. So guys, for those of you who would like to chime in during the course of the program, do so please, because I will not be opening up a special segment for calling. We would only take it during the course of the program. All right, so what we're going to do is that we're going to take our second break. When you call in, turn down the volume on your television, please, because I know many of you would want to have your say on this matter because it affects your children. And, you know, as grandparents, as parents, at the end of the day, education is something that, you know, we cannot just dismiss. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue right here on Breaking Barriers. We'll be back.
I'm Brian. I've been welding for more than 25 years. It's a rough job, so I need tools that last long and work efficiently. The most important tool that I use every day is a welding machine. A good one, in my experience, must last at least, let's say, 4 to 5 years without breaking down or losing efficiency. I've been using a Ronix welding machine for about 4 years now, and it's been a really good companion.
Ronix Premium Quality. Ronix Heavy Duty 89 Series. High efficiency, brushless 20-volt motor. All-in-one professional angle grinder kit. Ronix brushless angle grinder.
This year, protect your home with a beautiful standing seam roof that is built to last. Standing seam roofs are proven to last longer, eliminate potential leak points and rusting that screws cause. Built to Last is offering 5% off your purchase, plus save up to $2,000 with free roll forming of your roofing sheets and guttering. Roofing that's built to last. Built to Last Hardware and Roofing Manufacturing Limited, Southern Main Road, Freeport. Call or WhatsApp 355-7703.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high-quality bromate-free, all-purpose and whole wheat flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisho Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit us at Warrenville, Canoopia. Shiklisho Limited. Quality you can trust.
And welcome back. Of course, you're watching Breaking Barriers right on IBN Channel 8. Of course, my guest tonight, Shadow Minister of Education, Anita Haynes. It's a pleasure having you again. And of course, well, not again, having you for the first time, but welcoming you back on our second segment. Right. So for those of you who would like to call in, 663-8373 or 645-4426, or you could WhatsApp me on 6844-762 with your questions. We have a call online. Let's go to our lines. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, good night, sir.
Inshallah, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, and of course, good evening to my guests.
Yes, good evening to your guest. Is it Miss?
Anita.
Yes.
Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs. now, yes.
Congrats.
Mrs. Anita Haynes. I don't remember your last new name. Inshallah, I want to make just one or two little points there.
Sure.
The current Minister of Education is more focused on her appearance and hairstyle. She have enough money for that. Should have enough money to see what the schools are and things. About roads now. You know that finer material costs less in road building material?
If we know that what costs less? What costs less?
The finer grade of material costs less. And when you use the finer grade of material, the road becomes smoother, too smooth.
Right.
And you see when the rain falls and begins to shine, that is a hazard. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the roads that the Americans built in Wallafield, in Chagaramas, in Castlefield. If you understand my language, the road are a little more grainy. You understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
No, what I was told by a contractor is that they use a higher sand content in the mix, and this is what is causing the problem because...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Finer the material, cheaper it is to produce.
Yes.
Now, about this incident that I talked about first, the court matter yesterday, I want to have what to say on that.
Sure.
I listened to 2 other programs, TV programs that discuss this matter, and everybody, you would believe, never saw the video that you saw tonight. You understand what I'm saying? The event that led up to the arrest of these two, one of them that you saw tonight. There was no way obstructing the police. It doesn't matter the wrong charge and all kind of thing. It was just vindictiveness and spite and arrogance.
100%.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you so much. Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. Let's go again. Hello. Hello.
Good night, John.
Hey, good night. How are you going?
Good. Good night to your guest as well.
Good night.
She should be the Minister of Education long time.
No. She don't spend that amount of money on hairdresser and perfume and
exactly.
And attire. You see, Anita tell me that she gets off it from Sheen.
This Minister of Education we have in John is a complete waste of time. She's just like the Prime Minister. They're just wasting time there. You understand? And we really need to get our act together and get these people out from there. Our children are suffering. Besides suffering from the parents, they are suffering from the system. My children go to a Muslim school, and that principal, she is a hard-working principal. She would call parents and fix the benches, paint the benches, because if she waits on the ministry, John, that school will be one of those that exist now. The parents come in, grandparents come in, everybody would come in and put her hand, paint the desk, fix the door. If she buy the door, a parent would change it. And I mean, this is what we want. This is what we want because our children, and it ain't my children going there, it's my grandchildren now. It's my grand, right? So we have to seek these children interests in Chan because just now it won't have no NIS. If these children don't take education to get employment, you see the rippling effect down the road? Correct. The government is studying that, because they full in their pocket, their children pocket, their friend pocket, and making sure everybody fixed. So when you see this time come and pressure, they have the money bank outside, they have the property outside, the family could migrate. And our little black hen chickens is who going to be in that system, and that is where more crime, because if the children don't have education, what would they do? Not get into crime? And what the parents could do anything about it? No, because the system failed them. The system failed them. So I'm just asking, parents, go to your children's school and see what little you could do to help, because Gatsby Dolly and them don't care. And it is broad as daylight. People playing ostrich, burying their head in the sand, and that is my party, and if my party is not party, it's the people, it's your country, it's the system that's failing the children, and this is what we have to change. Thank you, Inshan, for giving me the opportunity tonight.
Thank you. Now, Anita, she brought up a very important point, and we'll take the next caller just now. Remember now, and this is interesting, there are schools that parents and the principal take, a wholesale approach in regards to repairs,
Correct.
and it saves the ministry hundreds of thousands of dollars. And let us face facts. It's not one school. It's many schools.
Correct.
So therefore, you telling me that the ministry does not have the capacity or the capability to handle the schools that are left?
Correct. And and by and large, it is the schools that are board schools, right?
Yes.
Religious institutions and so those board schools get the parents, PTA, and that network of people coming in. And so what you have left is the government schools. The schools that the government is solely in charge of, that they neglect. And so when you see the disparity, and then, there was some discussion a couple years ago with the same administration as to whether or not we need to look at this board school system and move away from it. And I mean, you spoke about it earlier, whether or not we are going to a space where they are trying to lower the bar and say that, that you're trying to create a crop of citizens that are not achievement inclined, because you are looking at the schools that are performing the best and saying something has to change there, and not looking at the other schools, and saying we need to improve and lift the standard across the board.
But you see, I have always told my daughter, even if you go to a junior sec, if you apply yourself,
correct,
you could succeed.
Absolutely. But on the other hand, so you are doing your best, applying yourself, and then you go into a space, and around you, like I said, the Gasparillo Secondary School, these are government schools. The government should take some pride in how government schools are represented, you would think. And so that the children are absolutely, wherever you go to school, you can succeed. You can be very successful. And that is why I'm saying, but the onus is on the state. Where you are in charge, take charge and give them the best possible chance.
Let's go back to our lines again. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good evening, Ishmael. Good evening, MBA.
Good evening.
Good evening. And in short, this is indicative of this government failing in every department: crime, economy, health, everything. And they want you to vote for them because you look like them. And that is so unfortunate. Because they continue to do the same thing and people continue to support them. Where do we go from here in terms of getting the change that this country really needs? We cannot take another 5 years of this foolishness that is taking place.
Well, the opposition have to come together. They have to start battling one another with axe and cutlass and gun and you name it. They have to stop, and we, the people on the ground, have to start to make demands now, because Anita here could be one of the best ministers of education. Don't tell me because, she has a slight difference of opinion that, no, she out and this one out. I don't want to hear that. Is what we want.
Yeah, because when you listen to MBAs in our dialogues, very measured, very concise, and you're not seeing it going anywhere. So
I could hear the frustration in your voice, right?
Yeah, because you're seeing 5 years and people, because they want you to vote for them because they look like them, and that's unfortunate. And we are the MBAs. You haven't seen anybody who receive a grocery? I don't know a person who receive a grocery since they remove.
I know a number of persons who had a lot of complications with the bursaries, as in they were told that they received it, and then upon further investigation, when it's time for them to start school, the money didn't come in, and that's something that I will again raise in the budget debate, because these are people's lives. When you put actual humans behind these stories, you have children who started school and you go to log on to register for your classes, and told because the government did not pay the money, you are out. No registration for you. And so even persons who were told that they accepted, they got a bursary, were not actually getting the money to pay for their tertiary education.
Let's go again. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, John, good night.
Good night.
And John, concerning some of the issues you're talking about, right? But mostly the education issue, right? Tell me something, right? The reason for for somebody, I'm going to you, Ms. Haynes.
Good night.
All right. Tell me something, right? The reason why it is when contractors get a contract, they just subcontract it down to 10 different people.
Well, you see, part of that is that you give a contract to somebody who has 100 other contracts. So therefore, when they get 100 other contracts, now this contractor now is cut in when you should have given it to a contractor who had the equipment and the resources. You see, again, because they are preferred contractors, because remember, you had to build Balize House, and Balize House is now a 5-story building. And what happened is that you had to have a room big enough for Rowley Head. So that is a real big room. So at the end of the day, the problem again is corruption. Who gives the biggest kickback? You give the most contracts. There were contracts that Rowley had mentioned, contractors that Rowley and him had mentioned, who were crooked on the camera. And those are the same contractors getting most of the contracts right now. Trinidad is the only country in the world where we are paying people to dredge the rivers and you don't even know what material coming out of the river. They could take 2 Sunny Cup, they could take 2 jockey shorts, and we paying them millions of dollars for that.
I want to tell you which is funny thing, Inshan. Some of the people are getting some of the biggest contracts. They have no equipment, boy. That's the problem.
No, I disagree with you. One contractor went trackmark the other day with a check, $36 million. 3 years ago, I went to an auction. The man equipment was falling down 3 years ago. I buy a steamroller from him, and I buy one other piece of equipment, an excavator. The man had no money, he had to recycle, and now the man have literally hundreds of millions of dollars in equipment. Why?
But I just want to touch on one thing before I go, right?
You keep touching them.
Right? I want to think about something, right? The PNM in power 9 years now, right? You tell me most of the people that are committing crime is youth, right? From the age of 20 go down, and around the age 22 go down, right?
Yep.
You tell me where these fellas would have been 9 years ago. If we had a government that was empowered, that was seeking the youth and their education. Tell me where them fellas would have been 9 years ago.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Let me tell you, this PNM government, them look like them only out to have people uneducated to study the empowered. That is what's going on in this country. People need to wake up and see what is going on. Anyway, I'll enjoy it, man.
Thank you so much. All the best. We want to go back to our lines again. Hello. That is how it is being on non-stop. Yes. Hello.
Hi, good night, Inshan.
Good night, my dear. How are things?
And good night to my team.
Good night.
I would just like to make 3 quick points, Inshan. The first point is, I have been following Ms. Haynes. I'm not a political person.
Oh, yes, a stalker.
This particular MP since she was the PRO of the UNC. And I cannot understand a woman who's articulate and a woman who is an example to young people.
Correct.
Why is she getting, in layman terms, and as my teenagers say, a fight down in the party? And to me, Inshan, first to begin, I believe the reason why this government keeps giving people anything and everything is because they know the opposition is holding their hands and putting them right back into government again. And something needs to be done, Inshan, that these people do not go back in government. My second point is the Bridal Road Bridge.
Oh, God.
We have an MP. And I'm kind of spelling out where I am from now. We have an MP who basically don't have no respect for anybody. And she's rewarded at what she opposite. Ms. Haynes is a articulate young woman, behaves like a woman. The MP of our area has no behavior and stands up on the bridge with the Minister of Works giggling, he, and cutting a ribbon. Mr. Inshan, that is foolishness.
Yeah, but the woman, you see what you just said? I tell you, woman, not only woman, buff me. I say, but what the hell? Right?
That is what I'm saying. And she's being rewarded. She is rewarded for that kind of behavior.
Yeah, but the thing is that what we said was wrong. For 1.5 years, the whole area was kept back. You never mobilized the area so that things could be done faster. Wasa take 3 months to install a pipe, kiki. They go on and they put on one piece of concrete, kiki. And I really don't know, but like I say, I never realized that this woman was a beast. So
that is how she is, Mr. Enchan. And before I go, what I could say is that individual is being placed back on the people of Shogunas East again. So you are telling me you are being rewarded for bad behavior, and meanwhile you have Miss Haynes, and I don't know Miss Haynes from a place, so I'm not put this in the air, but I have been looking at her, and I can name a few others who are going to move us forward, but they are being rewarded, like, going the naughty corner and turn your face. So Mr. Enchan, we're in a bad place, and Rowley and his schools knows that they are walking back into government again. Have a good night.
thank you. Let me tell you something, and I want to tell you one time. You see this thing about Rowley going back there? If I have to take the last breath that I have and help to remove more, and come, let us look at this program. So Betty, let me tell you something. And I'm talking to you one-on-one now, Betty. You see this dotishness? You see with you and Gary and all that getting on like a set of woman? Well, you could get on like a woman, that is allowed. Right? It had to stop. All of you had to come together. I want Michaela, I want you, I want Vasant, I want Rambali, I want Anita, I want all of you to come together. And here what's happening. Let them know. Because when our children see all behaving like some big hardback donkey, right? What it is all you expect? If Rowley call election tomorrow, is not all you to suffer is we, because all you have security, we dead. All you start to think about the people, man. We'll take 2 more calls because we're nearly out of time for the program already. Time that's fly by. Let's go again. Hello? Hello? Yes, God, you're live.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, and good night, Anita.
Good night.
We talk about road fixing. The Tunapuna Corporation
Oh, God.
spent over $600,000 Saturday night in fireworks in Eddie Hart, Savannah. And where all the material take from stockpile. Who account for that? They can buy a fan rate for a worker to use on the road for over $600,000 spent on Saturday night. And these people jump and whine and grind in that mud. That's the kind of nonsense the Tunapuna Corporation encouraging.
Well, remember they also qualified in breaking down guard boot and
But that's all they're good to do. That's all they're good to do. They can't buy a broom or a fan rake for the workers to use.
Imagine this, Look at where and you know what? The amount of people probably had their animals missing. Their dogs crashing into gate, and this, people don't understand. I wish one day that I could take Rowley, time up like a potong and play fireworks in the air 24 hours a day. Because for people to understand what these animals go through, especially with the trauma, with all that noise. But don't worry, FYA. The next one for FYA again, Anita. But then again,
call.
It could be that a contractor paid for it or several contractors. Remember, you could never tell, but we'll find out. Let's take this final call. Hello?
Yes, good night.
Good night, my dear. What area are you calling from?
This is the St. Margaret's Claxton Bay area.
Okay, that is from deep south.
That's so deep.
Go ahead.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
I have 2 questions to ask, right? One is, at tertiary level, why do they always have a backlog of medical students? Why do medical students always have to wait a year or the further year to be taken into the year that it's supposed to? That's one. And number 2, in terms of scholarships, why do they always have scholarships being given out in December or later on in the year?
Kola, you just asked 2 questions and my son clapping and shouting and jumping up and down here because he's one of them and his wife is one of them.
My daughter right now, we calling you all the time and they keep saying you have to wait, you have to wait. And it's ridiculous.
And this is not for anything besides when you look at going into the medical field, right? Into the medical field, what happens is that when you look at these people coming out, this is them going into the system a year earlier to be able to assist, to be able to get rid of what is taking place. Oh God, you are trying to frustrate those who are trying to educate themselves to the highest level today?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
on the medical...
that is my contribution.
Thank you.
On the issue with the medical students, that is a UE management. They set their class numbers, and so that they keep their class numbers at a certain point, so that's how that intake goes. With the scholarships, I mean, I experienced that firsthand. I actually left on a university scholarship before finding out about the national scholarship because it takes so long. But that is also a check and balance. So you get CAPE results in August. So by the time you go through that system, most of us would have already started school before you get to the scholarship award. So I know it is difficult. I think one of the most concerning things, though, for students is that once you've gotten a scholarship or a bursary and you're attending school, especially if you're attending school internationally, and then there have been years where the funds are not released on time. And so you have students who get locked out of campus housing. You know what it is to be December in London, New York, and you can't get onto your on-campus housing because your bill's not paid on a scholarship.
Yeah, but that caller raised a point. I am one of those. My son and my daughter-in-law wrote their whatever, and they passed something, and they were hoping to get through.
Yeah, so they got
to do medicine in UE and to start.
Yeah.
Now, my son decided that from business, he gravitated because he see this girl, and all of a sudden his whole future changed. He wanted to do medicine too, which is bad for me because as a businessman, all of a sudden, this man just hit me 2 kick, 3 slap, and 4 off. But it was for a good girl.
Yeah.
So I am thinking now that here what's happening. God spare my life, at least for 5 years. At least I could see my son start a practice. So now I had to go tonight and ask God to give me an extra year or 2 just in case because of UE.
Yeah.
Right? But Anita, it is now 19 minutes past. And I would just like to thank you so much for really enlightening us, because this program felt like 15 minutes. Because I've thoroughly enjoyed the discussion so far. Your closing comments on what we have discussed so far, your main concerns.
Yeah. I want to say to the population of Trinidad and Tobago, we have been discussing these issues for quite some time. And one of the callers raised it, that in the 9 years what we've seen, we are experiencing the consequences of decisions made 9 years ago already. And as we enter into an election space, I want every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago to pay close attention. Pay close attention to what is being offered, what is being said, and the track record of the persons doing the offering, because our country is quite literally at stake now. And so my hope is that overall we can get persons who have the interest of Trinidad and Tobago into the political landscape, because that is what will make the difference. People who want to get the job done, in the position to get the job done, and that's the only thing that will change where we are going now.
One of the things, Anita, that I wanted to add, and I don't know if you care to comment on it. When Rowley made the statement the other day about crime, what it is all they want me to do about it. This is the man in charge, right? This is the head. So if the head can make that statement, isn't it fact that could have a trickle-down effect on everybody else with the school repairs? Nyang could say, well, what it is all you want to do about me to do about it? You could have Rohan saying, what it is you want me to do about it with the road? You could have Taipan, Sexy Man, Faris saying what it is you want me to do about it, because the wharf is important, this is important. Look, I don't know if you saw that video in Diego Martin.
Yeah.
When I posted that up, that thing went like that. Yeah. And about 150,000 people viewed that within 48 hours when I posted it. And, you know, it shows you out of touch. Okay, these people in an area where you give them notice, do me a favor, give them the opportunity to reap. And then you're giving them somewhere that in Mount Tololo, away from where they are. These are people feeding the nation. Oh God, have some compassion, man.
And you know, I mean, basic common sense, right? You know, if you were in touch with persons, you'll know when harvest time is, crop time is for the types of crops that they're growing. And you could watch people with crops ready to be harvested. It is, I mean, I found that to just show exactly how out of touch with reality. But with every issue you've discussed on this program here tonight, every space you've noted already that the minister is very comfortable making an excuse, very comfortable to say, well, there was nothing else I could do, no further intervention. And so therefore, if there's nothing else you could do, then perhaps this is just not the job for you.
Right. Now, Justin, I'm sending something to you because I have to reference it tonight. I just sent you a photo, right? Let me know when you're ready with that photo, please. Before we end off, I just want to remind people that you all have to be safe outside there, please, because especially with your children and parents, I wouldn't tell you something I don't do. I told my son and my children here happening, all have all the vehicles. We love all you, but if all you plan to go outside, we go bust some hard cloth on all your head. Because let me tell you something. When children go outside, they don't understand the hardships that it places on parents. My wife don't sleep in with my son coming home 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is because it's your children.
Yeah.
And because of what is going on, you want to make sure that your children are safe. So parents, put your foot down. This dotishness with all these children lying all hours of the night, all you put down your foot. This gentleman is Davis Boram, a.k.a. Davis Boran. What happened is that there were 3 properties which he claimed to have gotten possession of. The matter went to court and it was overturned by Justice Rahim. He sold a B-15 belonging to a woman which was not his property. The gentleman found out about his dealings and the gentleman ended up telling him about what is going on, and the gentleman returned the vehicle to him and he gave the gentleman back the money. So he has that vehicle in his possession. Also, he's in contempt of court right now. All tenants located, and I'm making this public, all tenants who are paying Mr. Boram rent on Abdul Lane in Crep, you are to cease and desist immediately. Failure to do so will result in us taking action and evicting you from the premises because you are not complying with a court order. So, Mr. Boram, zoom in. We can't get the man face bigger, boy. Right, I want only nostril landing to show. AKA pastor, AKA prophet, right? AKA God alone knows what again. At the end of the day, you are a trespasser on Abdul Lane in Crep. You are not to enter the premises. Security would be there, and anytime you enter the premises, they would drop some hard cake in your tail. I have authorized that, right? Because you will be trespassing. Good. So if you know this man, tell him that he's famous again. And I don't know what happened to all it. Everybody's a prophet now. If only one prophet go and open a business and you could make profit, you understand? You could make $5, $10. You could be a politician and thief millions of dollars, not like Anita do. I want to clear that one time because we have honest ones. So, Anita, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here. This is the first of many conversations.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
I hope your time here was well spent. And
yes.
The problem here is that we cannot take the load of callers that we normally would get. As you realize, once we open the phone line, it's down the line.
Yes.
And people will be quarreling with me right through. Boy, I was on hold for 15 minutes. And so, have you ever been to Baraka Grounds by chance? Never?
I have not.
Good. Yes. Well, I'm giving you an invitation to come down there this weekend.
Yes.
Right? Where you could try some of the best steak, some of the best pasta. In fact, here what happened. Our pasta was rated #1, and it's my recipe, by the way.
Okay.
It was passed down through the Fatal Razak. It came on 2 ships. One was the Nina de Pinta and the Santa Maria. Right? And then it went on the Fatal Razak. Right? So I just let you know.
Yes.
Right? So anyway, to my good friend Richard Jagasa, thank you so much for starting off our first segment. And again, like I said before, it's time to heal. I know Kam's watching. Kamla, you're watching this right now, and I just want to tell you, wait now, where's this thing with the blue all you had on, by the way? All you look like Messi, right? They're looking like the UNC football team, right? But here what happened? No, I'm just joking. Look, you're vexing me now, you know. Here what happened? All you need to get all act together because this is to save the country. And all the people who are watching this right now agree that Gary, Michaela, Anita, Rambali, everybody need to come together and pull all our resources together because we cannot afford PNM coming back again. And the PNM people on the ground are saying that as well to many of them. So anyway, God bless you. Have a safe one. I'll catch you next week for Breaking Barriers. There's a repeat of this program on Saturday at 9 p.m. Take care. Assalamu alaikum and good evening.